Hello, good evening, international professionals. This is Shauna Kane here from Storani Careers, and I am joined this evening by Marina Morrissey. Marina may be familiar to some of you, so we're really looking forward to speaking with you guys this evening. First of all, let me begin by wishing a very, very happy new year to all of our lovely clients, past, present, future. I hope 2023 closed out nice and peacefully for everyone, and here is to a prosperous, peaceful, and happy 2024. So thanks so much to everyone for tuning in at this hour of the evening on this cold winter's evening. I'm sure cold wherever you are, particularly if you're in Dublin. It's certainly cold here in Paris, that is for sure. Marina, have you got more sun than us?
Yeah, we have sun, but it's Baltic. Yeah.
So without further ado, just to let you guys know, as many of you know here, Marina is our official English language teacher. So she's been working as a key partner to the Storani brand for almost 5 years in one capacity or another. However, Marina is no ordinary English teacher. She is seasoned and a highly qualified TEFL instructor with a unique twist. Marina also brings expertise from the world of talent acquisition as well, in complement to her language education. Marina is now working as a full-time English teacher, and she is joining us this evening to talk to us a little bit about her brand new program that she will be launching as of this month, and she'll be rolling this out going forward. So guys, have questions ready. I do have one or two questions myself for Marina, but if you think of anything you would like to ask, don't hesitate to pop your question into the comment box, and we'll get round to you as soon as. So Marina, tell us a little bit, first of all, about some of the work that you've been doing with us here at the Storani brand, and then if you can then move on to tell us a little bit about this new program that you've designed and how our clients might profit the benefits of that.
Awesome, thanks a million. So yeah, I think I've been officially partnered with Storani now since around July, August. And it's been absolutely fantastic. So in terms of the work that I've been doing, I mean, there might be a couple of people on the call who've been with me since that time, and so on and so forth. So initially, it started very much as a case of it's work on the grammar. You know, a lot of the Storani clients that have gone through the coaching sessions, or etc., were maybe a little bit worried about their grammar, their use of grammar, etc. But that seems to have really evolved. Okay, so from really just going through the basics of grammar, I'm getting a lot more requests now about like how to improve the pronunciation, for instance, how to work on sentence construction, how to look at it's kind of gone from there. Then it's evolved. Obviously, part of the, as you mentioned, the twist that I have is like the ability to also teach people business English. Yeah. So how to hold your own in a conference room, when you're sitting there and you've got the CEO there and you're thinking, dear mother of God, what do I say? So, et cetera, et cetera. And now the type of requests that I'm getting are just, everything from the basics of grammar. I've been studying it. I need a refresher, but I'm super confident and I know what I'm saying. I know how to speak. I'm not thinking before I'm speaking. I'm not freezing. But
that's from a big one.
Yeah, exactly. You're just sitting there and you're like overthinking what you're about to say and then just going blank midway. Yourself. To those that to some people, there's one person I'll be working with, I believe, who is pretty much zero.
Okay, so starting from base.
Absolutely, exactly. So that's the type of thing. And in terms of the type of lessons, we're trying to keep it. I'm trying to rein it back and keep it back to basic style. Okay, so really focusing on rather than going over OTT on the grammar, because no one really needs to know, apart from me, what a conjunction is, or what a past participle is, or how to use a past participle, or when a helper verb needs to come in, etc. No one really needs to know that. You just need to really understand how to put a sentence together, how to feel confident, and so on and so forth. So that's what I'm very much working on, and the mediums that I'm using are varying. So I'll give you one example. I'm working with a student right now, and we're working our way through the back catalogue of Queen.
Interesting.
Okay? Because I mean, I'm a big fan of. No, exactly. Exactly. And it's not only going to be Queen, but I mean, the lyrics of Queen are really, really powerful, but they're open to interpretation. So there's meaning behind it. So discussions that we're having are allowing people to feel more confident in lessons about an open conversation. They're forgetting about the thinking before speaking. They're speaking, and therefore at the end of it, that confidence is coming out. So that's been the evolution since I started working with Storani brand, and it's been fantastic. And yeah, go jump.
If I can just jump in on that, because I find that really interesting, because I myself am on my own bilingual journey here over in France. So developing the second language, as you know yourself, living in Spain, particularly for native English speakers, we're historically very lazy with language. We've barely mastered our own, and then we're moving on to another, which happens much later on in life. So our brain is a bit fused when it comes to developing language. And sometimes you find in a classroom situation where you're learning sentences, Mary went to the shop. Well, it's very unnatural way to speak. You don't feel very passionate about it. It's not very exciting. And it's not really a sentence you're going to use in actual life. However, if you choose a topic, like for instance, the Queen lyrics, or maybe the person's really into sports, or you're talking about something that's generally an exciting topic for your student or for the audience. Like I know myself, like for instance, I love cooking. So when I'm speaking about food, I have much more grammar in French than I would if I was speaking about going to the bank, for instance, right? Because it's something that excites me. So I'm the curiosity to develop more is there. And once you start speaking about something you love, it's very hard to stop. So it's really interesting, actually, that you take that approach into your language plans.
100%, yeah, and I probably should expand. I mean, I've got one student who loves recipes, so we're working through that as well.
Amazing.
There's one person who big into finance, so all of a sudden I was reading, we were actually having a full in-depth discussion about the 2008 financial crisis, and then we were going back to 1929. It's just like it just goes. So that is part of it as well, but it's very much bespoke and to the client. So the first thing is always have a conversation. Figure out what it is that person wants, okay? Because there's no scattergun approach here. People are spending hard-earned money and spending time on this. So that's it, right? So
before you move on, can I ask one more question, Marina? Just curious, because I know certainly we work with our clients. We have consultations, so we talk about their career, what they've done in the past. We talk about what they're looking for in the future. We talk about what their challenges are. So I'm listening to that from a careers perspective. Even as a native English speaker, I'm not always listening to it from a linguistic perspective. So I'd be curious to hear from you, who is listening to our clients in that capacity. Where are the challenges lying for them? Do you find it's sentences? Do you find it's confidence? Do you find it's pronunciation? Where's the big mountain that international non-English speakers, non-native English speakers tend to come up against?
Yeah. Okay. So ironically enough, it stems from confidence or lack thereof as a result of not speaking or pronouncing words correctly. Okay. That is ironically where it comes from. So that lack of confidence is just the biggest mountain, as we say, that they don't make a mountain out of a molehill, it's a bigger issue than what you really think it is. So 9 times out of 10, those who would be intermediate or at beginner level are so nervous of saying anything that they'd rather say nothing in order to do that. And what that usually comes from is knowing that they're not. So sometimes they'll often get corrected, which is fine. But I mean, you don't want to be corrected all the time.
The time. Exactly.
And all of a sudden you're going to stop talking. So either being corrected or that's what I'm seeing the most. And students are very much aware as well that, and clients, I should say, are very much aware that in order for them to progress in their career, they've decided that's it, Ireland is for me, or the UK, or wherever they're based. This country is for me. But in order to do that, they really need to broaden their language skills. So they can't. You mentioned once on our live, on one of our previous lives, you're like, I'm always living in the present, as in I'm speaking.
Absolutely, always.
There is
everything happens for me today in French all the time.
Last year, today.
I'm still going to talk in today.
Exactly. So that's the thing. So people are just like, oh God, like, am I learning, or did I learn, or have I learned?
Learned.
And learned. Yeah. And then the classic one, which, by the way, I teach a lot of Spanish students. They do the same. Danced, walked, whatever.
Yeah.
And you know what? Like, you're not going to go to jail for saying it incorrectly. But when people
no one's going to not give you the job because
just because you said walk it, exactly.
Yeah,
but I mean, maybe if you say walk it, that's fine. But just make sure you say it in the right order, etc. So that's it. But yeah, you know what? It's people, my clients build it up in their mind, and it's heartbreaking, you know. But I would be
Of
the
course.
same, by the way. Honestly, me going in to buy a loaf of bread, I still get the sweats, you know. And I've
Oh,
been
it's
here for 6 years. I'm like, hola, you know, and I like build it up, and I point, you know. But depends
yeah.
really on the day. So yeah. Anyway, that's it.
The confidence definitely is something, Marina, but it is one of those things that as well, the more you do it, the less scary it becomes. So
Totally.
often what I know, sorry, just to elaborate this point a little bit further, but I know some of our clients, we have two categories of, typically two, that when they
Yes.
arrive, there are those that really push themselves out and they look for a job straight away in a bar or a restaurant, somewhere where they have to speak English. And then there are the clients that are very reserved and maybe they look for a back of house in warehouse or in cleaning where there's less exposure to having to speak English. And you can see in terms of the development, the clients who typically make fast progress. And even though it's scary, sometimes, and by the way, I speak to myself here in France. I've been using English as my predominant language. Had I have arrived and just worked in a bar straight away, no doubt about it, my French would be much better than it is today. So there's definitely an element of having to push that comfort zone, isn't there? And really just make yourself
Oh my
speak.
God. Hit the nail on the head. What I'm loving about everyone that gets referred to me through the Storani network, so thanks a million, Tana, and yourself and all the team, is you know, a lot of the Brazilian community are deliberately saying, I know I spend too much time speaking Portuguese.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, you know, and like working in a bar, for instance, on a Friday night, you're not going to be able to have a conversation because everyone's like screaming and shouting. You've got the band there and someone else kicking off in the corner. You know, they'll go home and they'll have their partner in their communities. And, you know, so that's it. And stepping out of that comfort zone is the first step. And I love it when someone says, I want to do this. I want to push myself.
Yeah.
It's music to my ears. But yeah, it's pretty hard because
is.
The Irish are a close-knit community. The Polish are, we're all like that. So
we look for our own by nature. The first thing I did when I arrived here was look for an Irish bar. Imagine, I would never go to an Irish bar in Dublin.
I don't think France would allow an Irish bar in Paris. No offense.
No. I found them, Marina. They exist. But like, I would never do that in Dublin. But here, you look for your own, you look for your voice, you look for your accent, you look for your space. It's totally normal. But certainly the most progress happens in everything when you kind of push that comfort zone ever so slightly.
Yeah, exactly.
So now leading
Go
into Marina, what it is now going forward, what is this new program that you are so excited to talk to our clients about?
Okay, so first of all, I am not going to be the assessor, but what I was thinking, right, is a lot of the students and the clients that I talk to are working on a stamp 2. So they're studying. It's pretty hardcore, you know. We all know what the stamp 2 requirements are. Some individuals are able to get, say, a stamp 4, or they have a EU nationality. So I've been really kind of trying to think, okay, so what conditions would a country like Ireland or the UK, now this just isn't about Ireland per se, but you know, as we said before, Brazilian community pretty much holds up half of Ireland, and I absolutely adore it. So let's focus on the Irish part and what happens. So to be very clear about this, my program, which I really wanted to kick off now in February, because we're virtually halfway through January at this point, and there's going to have to be a conversation period, etc. The idea behind it is, if you are able to enter into a master's or a postgrad program in Ireland, once you qualify, once you graduate. Yeah, exactly. You then have the eligibility of staying in Ireland for up to 24 months without going through all of the additional hoops in relation to your stamp 2, your stamp 4, etc. Now, to do that, to be able to be eligible for a postgrad or a master's, you need to get points on either some kind of TEFL program, which is the TOEFL, or CELTA, the Cambridge certificate. Okay. So for postgrad, it's level 8, and for masters, it's level 9, which is between 171 points and 196, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Now, the idea behind this is to get people to a C1. So once you get your C1 and you pass your minimum 171 or your 197 points, you're eligible to go into that master's program. So you don't
fantastic.
Okay. Now, don't get me wrong. There's still going to be a red tape left, right, and center, but this is an alternative to the typical critical skills thing that we've been looking at. You know, everything's about critical skills, you know, and not everyone has that critical skill mindset, you know. I mean, etc. Like you said, I mean, you know, working in a restaurant or a bar or a back of house, front of house, etc. There's a lot of individuals that are working there, but that wouldn't necessarily be a critical skill in Ireland, would it? Whereas if you're like, I don't know, some mad scientist or an AI specialist, then that would be a critical skill, and that's not really fair. So I was thinking, okay, what can we do from an education standpoint to get people into master's programs, to then allow them to qualify, and then basically get an ERP permit or resident permit, which allows that person up to 24 months to be able to get a job.
So is this different to a stamp 1G then, Marina? Or is this the same idea?
It could be the stamp 1G, but this is a quicker way to get to it, etc. Now, to be able to get that, you need to qualify from an Irish institution. And to be able to get into a program, you need to be able to show that you've got a suitable level of English proficiency, which is your CELTA. Yeah.
Okay.
So the CELTA program, I broke it down from an hour's perspective. So if you were to spend 2 hours a week with me, plus 12 hours a week study, which seems like a lot, but if you think about it, I mean, unless you're working 100 million hours a week, it isn't too much. It can take you 3 months to become CELTA, to be ready to take the CELTA exam. Okay. So there's give or take about 3,000 centres globally. I have got the exact number in Ireland, but there's around 3,000 centres that conduct the testing around the world. Okay. So I'm not the assessor, but I will prepare for the exams. You do not have to have done any courses with CELTA.
Interesting.
So I am eligible, given the fact that I also have the materials and the content and the test materials, to be able to prepare anyone for their C1 or their B2. Okay. So what this means, so the program I have really is 3 months, depending on the level, by the way, and I'll explain that shortly, because not everyone's going to be ready for C1. Okay. You and I would be C1, C2, for instance, we're native. C1 is like just kind of getting there. But C1 means that you need to understand where the auxiliary verb goes. You need to understand the third participle, etc. But so the idea being is that there would be a lot of work, and then I would begin to introduce the exam material. So you can actually follow your own progress as you go. And the exam material and the test papers, I've got examples of test papers. So these tests, when you actually go for your CELTA test, are 4 hours long.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and it's in 4 parts, 4 papers. Okay. The great thing is the listening part, where you have to speak and listen, is only 15 minutes. But the grammar part is the big thing. You know, reading and grammar is 1.5 hours at each point.
Wow, it's very intense.
It's like going back to like kids university. I mean, there's no way I'd do it. But anyway, so that's it. So, you know, in terms of the information, how to do it, I've got all of that ready, and I put the program together. I had planned to roll it out in January, but I think, you know, after last year, I think everyone's just like, no, just get into this year. So how it would work, I would recommend 2 hours learning, active learning with me. Now, I'm going to do one-to-one classes and group classes.
The group session would be interesting.
Yeah, exactly. So, you know, grouping people together who are at the same level as well. It's super important that we do that, okay? Because there's nothing worse than having someone who's maybe a very quick learner, and then there's someone else who's maybe slower. And it doesn't mean that if you're a slow learner, you're any worse. It just means that we will process information differently. So essentially that's it. And then I'm able to prepare you for that exam. Now, you might decide, listen, I can't do that many hours. I have a cat running around here. I can't do that many hours. I'd like to break it down over 4 months. There is no requirement. So essentially that's it. So if someone wants to do it in a hardcore fashion, 3 months, one-to-one is a different price. But in the group sessions, either 2 or 4, it's €7.
Oh, wow. That's super reasonable.
Yeah, it's €7. So €7 per person if they're in a group. But it means that for me, obviously, it's a quick, you know, it makes perfect sense. So I don't want to go into too much information. I mean, essentially, if you can get your C1 advanced, you are then eligible to apply for a number of different programs, masters. Sorry, I've got cats running around here. I do apologize. As
They're
some
very
people
welcome.
I know. If you've done that, that is one of the best routes.
Okay.
Maybe a route that wasn't open to a lot of people, to be able to actually
Absolutely.
get the stamp, as you said, the G1. It's you know the terminology better than I do. So my idea is to offer the program to be able to get the students ready to be able to take their exams. And
Amazing.
the exams, by the way, the exams, the maximum cost per exam is around €180.
Okay.
Yes, €180 is expensive, but €180 for C1, which is basically recognized by over 9,000 institutions globally, is pretty good. And you can take the exams a couple of times if you want to as well.
And so talk to us a little bit about that. I hear you're using C1 and B2, and tell me a little bit about how that structure works, or where people fall on that ladder.
Exactly. So you will have A1, A2, B1, B2, C1, C2, and so on. Okay.
Okay.
So C1 Advanced is pretty short short of being native level. Okay.
Okay.
What A1 and A2 would be either early learners, so the youngsters, which I also teach, or it could be a beginner. So an individual who I'm working with who is basically, we're starting from scratch. That would be what you would call an A1 and or A2. B1 and B2 is your intermediate. And then you work it up. So the great thing is there's actually an unbiased test that I put everyone through online.
Okay.
So it's not me going, well, I don't think you really hit the nail on the head with that answer about your past participle and your modal verb. It's not me just like giving my opinion. This is an unbiased test, right? So I got 25 out of 25 on the online test, which is Cambridge certified, right? And it still said to me, however, we suggest you should do a course. I'm like, I'm not doing a course. So they will encourage you to do. So what it says is like, you're good, but we still think you should do a course.
Okay.
They're encouraging people to buy their courses. That makes perfect sense. So
of course, absolutely.
But if I put someone through that test online, if they come up as like say 23, 24 out of 25, they're ready to prepare for their C1s. If someone does the test and they fall between say 17 and 22, that person would be technically a B2 who would need a little bit more work on their B2 before we move to C1. So you probably want to add an extra month onto that program.
Okay.
But it's an unbiased. This is what I love. It's unbiased, right? It's not me saying, I think you should do this and this. It's someone else. And then for anyone who feels particularly confident, now I tried it and this is how difficult it is, right? I did the test for business English. And I think I only got about 60% of the answers right. And I was like, no, this is completely wrong. I refuse to admit the results. But it's good.
But that's the thing, though, about language. And I'm sure a lot of our guys who are listening to this live this evening, I certainly know my husband who's French, he would say the same. Most of us don't even speak our own language, because we use slang and we use lazy and we don't always, so I think we're a lot more consciously aware when we're speaking a second language, because all the nuances of language we wouldn't think about in our own tongue, we're very aware of them in a secondary language.
Exactly.
And so what does the preparation, Marina, look like? What kind of materials do you cover with people who sign up to this program?
Okay, for the C1, I've got all the workbooks, which is fantastic. So I've got the students' workbook. Now it's online. So this stuff you can work with online, you can print it out online, etc. So it's fantastic. And then what I'll have the teacher's workbook. So obviously, there always has to be the student's workbook versus the teacher setting the tasks and the project plans, etc. And then once I'm at a level where, so I'm already doing this with a school locally here in the town that I live in, right? So we're getting she's going to be a doctor, basically. She's got her plan. So she qualified B2, she's doing her C1. And I've already started putting her through because she needs to get ready by April to start taking her test. We've already started going through the exam papers. And the exam papers, so I'm actively starting to put her through some of these 4-hour sessions. Not 4 hours, or 1.5. So I can, and once I'm satisfied that person understands the grammar, the background, etc., because there's a lot to it. She's then, and this is the idea here, is that she'll then start doing practice exams. So she's prepared for the actual exam. She understands the structure. Because there's nothing worse than walking into an exam and not having a clue about what the structure will be,
Absolutely.
Because that's it. So that's why you need. So she understands how each section is going to be presented. Now, these are, so anything that I present, these are all test exams. The actual one will have the same format, but obviously completely different content. And that is gradually introduced from month 2 onwards until ideally between month 3 and month 4, that person is gliding through those tests. Yeah.
Ready
And then
for
it's
it.
very, exactly. And then from my perspective, from my element, is the idea is really to help whoever's on the course ready, who says, right, I want to go for the exam, to put them in contact with the relevant center and make sure all the information is there. But it's, I mean, it's very black and white, what to do, how to pay, what you need to do, and the conditions around the actual formal qualification.
Amazing.
And the assessment.
And so you'll actually help then the client coordinate in terms of where they can sit this exam and help them with that kind of administrative side of it.
Yeah, exactly. That's
Amazing.
it. I mean, it's super easy. So I mean, there's loads of centres in Ireland, but these centres, like I said, there's nearly 3,000 centres globally. So
that's amazing.
You know,
so no shortage.
No.
Amazing. So, and so what is your timetable looking like? Tell us, Marina, are you seeing any peaks coming up in the year, any particular busy times, or in terms of clients, what is the rush on this? What is the need? When is the peaks?
So you can do these tests anytime. Okay,
oh, amazing.
So
okay.
These tests, you can do them next week if you wanted to. You can do it in 3 months' time, etc. There are these tests continue. So what I have noticed though is that summertime, a lot of people don't tend to do anything because summertime is the time where you begin to wind down. Anyone who's already working, etc., might be going home to see families or taking holidays, or etc. So I see a lot of activity from a study perspective going up until June. July, August gets to be very quiet, and then from September onwards, you'll see busy periods. But you won't see like a peak or trough when it comes to assessment centres. A lot of assessment centres will probably close in the summer, just as an FYI. But I'm sure most of us close down for the summer. You know what I mean? That's when we take our summer holidays. So from that perspective, and just a note as well. So we might have some people, I'm already working with some people who are based abroad in Brazil, etc. I do have a habit now of kind of working pretty much all hours just because I enjoy what I do. I've become a real grammar nerd. So there are some times available for group sessions and one-to-ones, but I'm kind of being very flexible, and I'm actually starting to take classes at the weekend.
Oh, fantastic.
So there is a bit of flexibility. I can't say that I can be 20 places at once, but of course, if there's demand, I'm there.
Amazing, Marina. I just see a comment has come in here, and I do apologize if I'm mispronouncing the name, from Tarcisio. I hope I said that correctly. My apologies if not.
Oh, yeah.
He made a comment here that he's really practicing training his listening ear. So in terms of comprehension and understanding and learning how to improve your comprehension, Marina, do you have any tips there that might be useful for this client?
Okay, so there's a couple of things. To enunciate is key. So when I'm speaking, obviously I'm speaking quite quickly now, so I probably should be speaking a little bit more slowly. The first thing is, if you want to learn and improve your listening skills, you should probably, and I know this is going to sound a little bit sad, go onto YouTube if you want to do it yourself and look up the things that you want to learn, but look them up for children, because they will be clearer, and they'll those that are, as I want to do this content myself, but actually haven't had the time. But the plan, I want to do this content myself, but the idea is that if you listen to that first of all, and you're learning about what a verb is, in the past tense. If you're a child, you need to have someone speaking more slowly, clearly, with a really, very neutral accent. So if you're, if Tarcisio is looking for, a clear way to understand, start with, especially if you're at basic level English, they are the best videos because they're clear, they're simple, and then they work themselves up. Now, something else that I absolutely adore is Google Translate. Okay, so when you put in the word and then you ask Translate to repeat the word in English, will give you, not only will it give you the correct pronunciation, so you can practice that, but underneath it'll give you the phonetic.
So how it's sounding.
Yeah, so you'll have the listening, you'll see the phonetic, and then, like I said, the last thing as well, if you want to go real back to basics and hear a clear enunciation, You know, your entry level, start with early learner YouTube videos. And once I've got my content, I'll be filtering it out there as well.
Amazing. One thing actually as well that I find really useful, now again, it depends on a subject that's interesting for you, but I find listening to podcasts is because you're listening to kind of conversational flow. So it's almost like natural language. So I find there's something about the rhythm of natural language, and also, and I can only imagine what a challenge it is for our international friends in Dublin, is trying to get used to all the different accents, right? Because let's face it, in Ireland, and in Dublin, there are so many different accents. So some people have a very strong Dublin accent. I personally love this, but I can imagine it's quite challenging to get your ear around this accent.
Yes.
But then if you go further down in the country, further down south or over to the West Coast, it sounds like a completely different language. So by listening, I think, to, you know, that kind of conversational flow podcasting, your ear becomes attuned to the different melodies of language, because it is quite musical.
No, you know who's really, one thing I will recommend, listen to David Attenborough.
Oh, yes.
So, you know, David Attenborough, so not everyone will know, but I mean, if anyone wants to know, just go onto my Instagram, DM me, whatever, and I'll send you links. David Attenborough has been pretty much the basis of animal stories, you know, so he'll go out into the wild and he'll speak, and it's just the most mesmerizing show that you can watch. So it'll be on Netflix or HBO, what have you, or you
YouTube,
can
even
YouTube, the free documentaries.
Yeah.
And wow. And he's just so beautiful, and you learn a huge amount. So I
great
recommend David
vocabulary.
Attenborough. Oh my God, he's fantastic. Yeah.
Great vocabulary. But it's amazing as well, because like we do get used to listening to our own shows in our own language. Like even like switching on Netflix, making a conscious effort to watch English speaking movies as an instance. Like for me, I'm pushing myself to watch more French cinema, listening to more French music, because it's like that immersive experience, isn't it really?
Yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, I'm getting to the point now where I'm putting on a lot of the Spanish shows.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, how good am I at Spanish? Really terrible, because I actually spend most of my time working as opposed to studying. Yeah, exactly, in English. But I'm putting on Spanish TV shows, and there are some fantastic ones. But putting on the English subtitles, that's a super simple way. And you can do the same on YouTube. You don't have to, you know, if you're thinking, listen, I don't want to be downloading, I don't want to get Netflix or Disney or HBO. You can do a trial there, and you can binge watch everything that you want in English, and then. But I never said that. So that's what I would recommend.
You didn't hear it here. Amazing. So Marina, so how do our clients now go about booking this? Because obviously when they purchase our services, they are entitled to a free lesson with you. And then from there, they can decide if a care plan or a service plan is necessary, and you map that out with them. How do they go about actually booking in a class now if they want to do this Cambridge prep?
Okay, so the best thing to do, I think, from my experience, is rather than, you know, going through the Storani team 100%, ask someone in the Storani team, whether Shauna or someone else, to actually just literally contact me directly. So my Instagram is there. You can either DM me, but I prefer WhatsApp, and usually it'll be, hi, I was recommended by X, Y, and Z. Then what I'll do is I'll organize a quick WhatsApp call. To understand, okay, what is it you're looking for? Do you want to do the C1, or are you just looking to improve your English, etc.? So this obviously the focus is the C1 beginning in February. Okay.
Yes.
So that's the one. That's the thing. So if, you know, anyone here wants to do a group class, remember it's €7. But if you want to do your individual one-to-one and you just want to focus on improving, it's $9.99 an hour. So you'll get a free class, you'll get a half-hour consultation, and then you get a learning plan. And that learning plan, there's no, it's a pay-as-you-go structure. So there's no minimum of 3 months. There's no minimum of 2 months. If you feel after 2.5 months, okay, I don't need Marina anymore, I've got that, you know, I'm feeling confident enough, fabulous. You may wish to stay with me for as long as some of the other clients have, which is nearly 6 months. So my advice is, get the details from the team in Storani or DM me directly, but make sure that you always reference who or how you found out about.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And guys, do you have any questions for Marina this evening? Anything about language in general, or specifically this new program that Marina is rolling out? Anything at all, you feel free to drop your questions in here. Marina, any closing notes or any final points about this service or anything that you're providing your clients that you'd like to finish the evening on?
Yeah, well, I mean, so what I'm going to do, I'll be arranging for the C1 information, the overview, and actually the full information to go out. I need to talk to you about that separately, just to make sure that it's available. I can also I can probably also post it onto my Instagram as well. So my followers, if you want to follow me on Instagram, you'll be able to see it, etc. But I've got the documents ready. Okay, in terms of providing the information and pricing as well. But my advice is get in touch. Let's have a consultation. Let's have a chat. And a chat doesn't mean that you have to commit. And a trial means that you don't have to. And having a trial doesn't mean that you have to commit. You may decide, okay, it's not really for me. I won't be offended. But 9 times out of 10, it goes well. So that's what I'd like to say. And I always want to say a huge thank you to everyone who's kind of stuck with me so far. It's been absolutely amazing. So you've made my year.
Oh, and Marina, we have a little question here from Andre. Andre is asking, do you have group classes every day, including weekends?
I will. I'm going to have 6 times available. Okay, so there'll be the Irish time, and then there'll be the Brazilian time. So that will be on the information that I send out, because there are going to be people who will finish work in the evenings in Ireland, for instance. I've got 1 session in the morning. So it'll be 3 days a week, a morning and an evening for Irish. And for me, an evening, which will be late afternoon Brazil time. I can't remember the times exactly, but yeah, I'll have 6 available times depending on where you are.
And then just as a follow-up, Andrea is asking, is it €7 per class? And how many people do you facilitate in the group?
Either 2 or 4. Bearing in mind, it has to be equal numbers, no more than 4. Any more than 4, and it's basically, you may as well go to a college and just sit there with a bunch of your people. So it's either 2 or 4. And remember, I'd have to test your level of English first to make sure I put you in the right class with someone who's at your level. Okay, so it's €7 per class, and it's either with 1 other person or with 4 people. And then the activities that you have, you can do them together. So 9 times out of 10, you'll actually end up chatting away with, making new friends, etc.
Amazing. And guys, I've just shared there the link for Marina's English language page. So that's her Instagram page, where you'll be able to contact Marina directly. You'll see she'll be sharing some materials and resources over there as well. So just be sure to give Marina a follow and a like. And guys, if there's no other questions, we'll wrap that up for this evening. But thank you so much, Marina, for joining us. It's been a pleasure to have you as always. Guys, thank you for giving us your time on a Tuesday night. We really appreciate it. And Marina, we'll be checking in with each other in the near future.
Oh, absolutely. Thanks a million. All right. Have a great evening.
Take care, guys.
Bye.
Take care. Bye.